We are at lovely, lovely Pleasanton. And I'm your host for the day, the Mad Piper, at the Mad Piper on Instagram with the Capeless Crusaders and special guest today. I'm humbled today. Michael Bell is with us.
It's funny, he doesn't look humbled.
It's a trade secret. But, I mean, I gotta keep it up for the camera. And I've gotta keep my mouth closed. So, thank you so much for sitting down. So much.
That's because my knees are killing me.
I'm the same. I mean, I brought a chair around. I had a couple questions for you. I wanted to open up as an aspiring voice actor myself. How did you break into this business? Did you have like a lucky break, or was it, just pounding pavement?
I slept around.
I've been doing that for like 5 years. It's gotten me nothing. Is it just the wrong people?
Yeah, no, I slept with the opposite sex. It's quite different.
Okay. The opposite sex. Yeah, the whole time Man. So, of all of the characters that you've got here, you have done, I mean, it's an impressive body of work. It seriously is. And you've been working for so long. It's probably the hardest question, but you probably receive it a lot. Who's your favorite to have done?
It's almost like having a lot of kids and figuring out the kid you love best. I love doing a Grouchy on the Smurfs. I mean, that was great fun. On Rugrats, Chucky's dad, Chaz, was gold, and Grandpa Boris, of course.
Yeah.
And it's not here, but I did a show called A Wish for Wings That Work, a character of Opus in Bloom County for Spielberg.
Okay.
And that's a fabulous Christmas special. I love doing that character. And it's hard to kind of narrow down. Probably, I would have to say Prowl among the Transformers,
okay.
And Duke for G.I. Joe, because it was so much easier for me to do. Because I look so much like Duke.
Right.
Tall, blonde, really buff.
Right.
And it's just that stuff was easy for me.
Right. So the big dogs. I think one of my favorites is I love that you did Quacker Jack. I loved Darkwing Duck when I was young. So what was your first job? Like did you start huge like the Transformers?
It was none of the first time, I think, when I was creating a voice, I did a commercial for Parquet. I was the voice of Butter. When people would lift the lid and I'd go, Butter, Parquet. And that was, a chance to play. And then got into cartoons itself. And I wound up working for Hanna-Barbera. I did Oliver Twist and the Artful Dodger, and they gave me the role of Dodger. Yeah, it was special. Yeah.
So, having gotten into your big breaks, what was your your very first big break? And I guess who cast you? Like the one of the huge shows.
It would have to be Hanna-Barbera for the Artful Dodger. It would have to be that because I started to work a lot. And then after that, you start to take. It was a whole different world. In those days, you didn't even have to audition that much. Once they knew you could do something, you do several characters, several voices. Then I was in. They knew that I would be hard pressed not to do what they gave me.
Okay. So what's the process look like for when they put somebody in front of you, and just like voice go, and then?
Okay, because I teach voice animation, and I've been teaching now for the past, since the 80s. And I teach for the past 10 years. I've been teaching Japanese students that fly in, about 90 at a time, 3 times a year actually. They're acting students. I teach them voice anime, so I teach them how to create characters. So the first thing you do is you get a prototype. If they show you a prototype, what's the physical look of that character? Is the character always smiling? Does the character have an underslung jaw? If he's got an underslung jaw, then the character sounds like this. And you never change from this because something happens to your essence because you have the underslung jaw, and that helps. If the character has fangs, it's a certain way of talking. If the character has a mouth off to the side, then you talk off to the side so the voice sounds like this. So you do everything you can that the characters. If it's just your basic Duke, Major Blood, let's say Prowl, or then it's me. It's closer to me. And then if you get another character that's closer to me, but I'm asked to do it, I have to now give him a dialect and either raise or lower my voice.
Right.
And then phrasing. Sometimes the character will talk at that particular speed. Sometimes a character just elongates his vowels, so he sounds different than the other character you just did.
So using all of those things, is there a character that you've played with, that you've gotten in your mind, but you've never gotten to get out in a show?
You know, I've always wanted to play a woman, some sort of a lady character.
I can see that about you.
Oh, absolutely. Have you ever seen one of these?
Yes.
Okay. I always wanted to do that, so I got a commercial once where I was in the agency, and they sent out a commercial for, what's her name, the famous cook. She was a famous chef.
Paula Deen? Rachel Ray?
No, the one who passed away.
Julia Child?
Famous chef. I forgot her name. She was very famous. Meryl Streep did the movie.
Julia Child.
And everybody was doing Julia Childs, but they wanted a Julia Child sound, and none of the women in the agency could do it. So I said, "Can I try it?" And they said, "Well, they're asking for a woman." I said, "No, but I want to do it anyway," because I'd worked on it. And so what I did was I used that voice, and I said it was for Ford. And I said, the one thing about this car, it's a fabulous car, my darlings. First of all, it's so deliciously painted, and I made it sound like she was eating in between working, and I got it.
Still chewing as the...
Got to play the lady.
On what?
It was a commercial for Ford. Yeah. The radio commercial.
The only thing I remember Julia Child, I never watched the show, but was the SNL, just like, got a sharp knife, can't do nothing without a sharp knife, and then just,
She was drinking in the midst. But I did it where I felt she was always sounded like she was eating something in between cooking. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I thought, that's the thought process. I told people that want to get into voiceover, study improvisation. That's where you create your characters. You have to do improvisation. And we picked a lot of our characters from the early 30s and 40s movies where they had great character actors. So for me it was plagiarize, don't shade your eyes. That's why God made your eyes, you plagiarize. And that's what we do. So we wound up in the early years doing Peter Lorre, Boris Karloff. I once did Jack Palance for a video game.
So pulling your character from somebody else, is just nothing wrong with that?
That's how you do it.
All right. Because I guess it's almost like a signature. You'll do it a little differently than whoever you...
Always. Your pipes are different. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Anything you're working on at the moment, or can you speak on it?
Well, in terms of conventions, Celebworx,
Sure.
Yeah, they have me going out all over the place, and just so happens. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Nice.
I came prepared. I do sometimes.
Weird. So I'm just did a voice on Doctor Strange that was out already. I will be singing on the new Smurfs film.
Nice.
Not for the show. They lifted it from the original series.
Okay. So your original, when you did it originally, they pulled that audio.
So when you hear la 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 la, that's a group of us doing that. The originals.
It's nice. All right. I mean, we didn't even talk about Smurfs. Smurfs is another huge one that goes on. But I think we're wrapping it down. Did I do a good job, or did I bugger this entirely?
Fabulous job. You didn't ask me about the next movie I'm doing called Jeffrey Dahmer Meets the Smurfs, but we won't discuss it.
Will you come back on the show?
Yes.
Before we go, can I get one more peek inside in that old no? Okay. He didn't charge the first time. I mean, it's okay.
Let me get to see it once.
Thank you so much for coming on.